Hello and welcome live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up in the next 30 minutes, India condemns the violence at the Hindu temple in Canada's Brampton, dubs it as an act of violence perpetrated by extremists and separatists. In a final push for votes, Trump promises celebrations post results at his last rally in Georgia. In Michigan, Kamala Harris pledges to end the war in Gaza. Spain dreads more flood deaths as heavy rain is forecast again. 7,500 troops deployed in Valencia's flood zone, where massive cleanup is underway. And legendary American music producer Quincy Jones dies at 91. Now, the acts of violence by separatists at the Hindu Sabha temple in Ontario has yet again revealed the severity of extremism in Canada. India has called upon Canada to ensure that all places of worship are protected from such attacks.
India has strongly condemned the recent violence at the Hindu Sabha temple in Brampton, Ontario, which was carried out by extremists and separatists on Sunday. In response, the Indian government is urging Canada to take necessary measures to protect all places of worship and to ensure that those responsible for the violence are prosecuted. The Ministry of External Affairs stated that the intimidation and harassment faced by Indian consular officers will not hinder their outreach efforts. They remain committed to providing services to both Indian and Canadian citizens. The clashes occurred during a consular camp organized in collaboration with Hindu Sabha Mandir, highlighting the need for enhanced security and protection for places of worship. The Indian High Commission in Canada also highlighted similar disruptions during the consular camps held in Vancouver and Surrey on Saturday and Sunday. The incident has sparked widespread outrage both in Canada and abroad. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau condemned the attack, reaffirming the importance of religious freedom. While Canadian opposition leader Pierre Poilievre called the attack as unacceptable, Toronto MP Kevin Vogue also condemned the attack and asserted that Canada has become a safe harbor for radicals and asserted that the country's leaders have failed to protect Hindus. Canadian Member of Parliament Chandra Arya also condemned the attack on the temple, saying that a red line has been crossed by extremists. Local police has arrested 3 in connection with the incident and are being criminally charged for their actions. The recent attack adds to a string of similar incidents documented in recent years, underscoring a distressing trend of religious intolerance. Bureau Report, DD India.
And DD India's Meghna Dev has been tracking all the developments as far as this incident is concerned. Meghna, first up, very strong language used by India in condemning the incident and calling upon the Canadian government to ensure that proper security is maintained at such events. It's their responsibility, and that has really underlined how things are going right now as far as the overall India-Canada relations are also concerned.
Yes, Gautam, the Ministry of External Affairs had earlier also stated that the behavioral pattern that Canada is showing will have serious consequences on the bilateral ties. And this is something just exactly what India has reiterated again. Now, what we also definitely see is that, something that like a consular camp is nothing very unique. It is a regular thing that happens, especially for the Indian diaspora to get them to give them life certificates and more documentation processes. And this is a vital document used for pensions and other, for other important processes. So very importantly, this was just a consular camp. But in advance, it is obviously communicated that the consulate will be holding a consular camp at this place at this time, from this to this time, and these many people would be expected to come. And whatever, if we talk about this entire process. Now, besides that, when we actually see that the security situation there deteriorated, we saw, we saw violence there, and we also saw the visuals coming in. Definitely did see that how the situation went quite out of hand, and the police officials were not able to handle the situation. The protesters were really violent at that place, and this creates a very important, image that are not only the consular officials, the officials of the consulate are unsafe, but besides that, the Indian nationals also are unsafe at that place. Were unsafe at that place. So definitely, it is a very important aspect. Need not to say that the Canadian authorities must probe into the situation. And it happened at the Hindu Sabha temple. It is a festive season. There are many people who go to visit, the temples at specifically during this, this week or probably this season. So this is something that has to be looked into, because it's not only about the safety of the consular officials, which India has been time and again reiterating and time and again asking Canada that it is not still abiding by what the diplomatic or consular conventions.
Yes, clearly, because, it's not just about this particular attack. The Ministry of External Affairs has highlighted that similar incidents took place on Saturday and Sunday in Surrey and one other location as well in Vancouver. And only 3 people arrested so far. Even in the pictures, you can clearly see that it's more like 30, not 3.
Absolutely, and the Canadian authorities cannot get away by saying that this is just probably people have the freedom of protest, or people have this freedom of speech. And time and again, India has been asking Canada that not only at this point of time, but earlier also, when there were death threats, intimidation given to our high commissioners and our diplomats. That time around also, India had asked Canadian authorities, the Canadian government, to look into the situation, but Canadian government had again passed it for the sake of freedom of speech or freedom of protest. So this is something that definitely is important. And when now we are seeing that in the past few days also there has been many things that have come up. For example, allegations or uninsinuated, probably fake, we can say statements actually leaked into the international media to paint India's picture in a wrong sense, or to probably smear India for political gains against the Union Home Minister for that matter. Not only that, tapping or probably having a surveillance on the phone calls and communication by the consulate officials or diplomats. That is something very probably, if we can say, that is something that India has taken very seriously. And also gave a diplomatic note to Canada that this is something that India will not take in good spirit, and also serious concerns. This will have serious concerns on diplomatic ties, is what India had said.
Well, definitely, and one would have to think about the safety of people there as well in Canada, be they those who work for the High Commission or the consulates, or even other people of Indian origin there. Thanks a lot for the moment for joining us, Meghna Dev. Now, American voters will face a clear choice for president on election day between Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris and Republican Donald Trump. In a final push for votes, Trump focused on immigration at his last rally in Georgia on Sunday. Harris, meanwhile, was in Michigan making a pitch to Christian and Arab Americans. The big question is, will America get its first woman president or a second Donald Trump term?
The US presidential election is all set for an epic showdown. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris ramp up their campaigns in critical swing states. With less than 36 hours until polls open on Tuesday, both candidates are in an all-out push to sway the final undecided voters. In recent rallies, Trump has zeroed in on the economy and job reports, betting that these issues will resonate and lead him to victory over Harris. Rallying in Georgia, the Republican candidate promised a fun time ahead.
It's going to be party time. It's going to be party time. So with your vote on Tuesday, we're going to fire Kamala and we are going to save America. We will cut your taxes, end inflation, slash your prices, raise your wages, and bring thousands of factories back to America and back to the good old state of Georgia.
Meanwhile, Democrat Kamala Harris made her closing pitch in Michigan, where she committed to working towards an end to the conflict in Gaza. She also warned voters not to be swayed by Trump's tactics surrounding election fraud claims.
I would ask, in particular, people who have not yet voted, to not fall for his tactic, which I think includes suggesting to people that if they vote, their vote won't matter. Suggesting to people that somehow the integrity of our voting system is not intact so that they don't vote. And again, I think that it is a tactic. It is meant to distract from the fact that we have and support free and fair elections in our country.
Across the swing states, the competition between Republicans and Democrats remains razor thin. In Iowa, a new poll shows Harris pulling ahead of Trump, but another survey suggests that Republican nominee still holds favor in many other key battlegrounds. Supporters are deeply divided as both campaigns continue their final push.
What he stands for, his platform, stands for religious liberty, for life, for morality, where I see the other side. He's more pro-America, definitely, and he sees a threat that our country's facing, and he wants to stop that and return America back to where our foundation has been laid.
We're just excited to go out and vote. We're excited to be a part of getting the first woman in office in the White House.
As election day nears, security measures around the White House are being bolstered. With concerns of potential unrest, law enforcement across the Capitol and several states are on a high alert. This year's presidential race is coming down to the wire, with an unprecedented number of swing states too close to call. Over 77.6 million people have already cast their votes early, roughly half the total ballots in 2020, underscoring the intense public interest in this election. Tripti Tripathi reporting for DD India.
The Spanish government has deployed 7,500 troops to its flood-stricken eastern region as frustration mounts over the government's response to a disaster that has claimed at least 217 lives so far. On Monday, rescuers searched submerged garages for bodies following a chaotic scene the previous day where angry crowds hurled mud at Spain's king and queen. Parts of northeastern Catalonia remain on high alert for more torrential rain. That's the region that has Barcelona in it as well. Over the weekend, 5,000 troops were sent to assist with essential relief efforts, including distributing food as well as water, clearing debris and safeguarding shops and properties from looters. Another 2,500 soldiers are set to join them. In Sri Lanka, long queues continue for issue of passports as the government makes efforts to manage the shortage of passport booklets. Public frustration remains high, with applicants enduring long waits despite government assurances of quick resolution. Meanwhile, the Department of Immigration and Emigration has decided to reintroduce an online registration system for passport applications. This system will allow applicants to secure a specific date and time for appointments, expected to roll out shortly. American company Allison Transmission recently announced the expansion of its manufacturing facility in India's southern state of Tamil Nadu. In the backdrop of which, U.S. Ambassador to India Eric Garcetti visited Allison Transmission in Indiana to hear about the expansion plans. He said that the investment will not only boost the production of fully automatic transmissions meeting growing global demand, but also strengthen India-US collaboration for global good. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. At least 35 people killed as a bus falls into a gorge in North India's Uttarakhand. Prime Minister Modi announces 2 lakh rupees extra for those deceased in the mishap. India re-elected as President of International Solar Alliance till 2026. President Prahlad Joshi says global solar capacity is expected to reach 2.4 terawatts in 2024. And in sports, we tell you about India's chances of qualifying for World Test Championship finals.
Who will be the next president of United States of America?
Will Donald Trump make a dramatic comeback, or will Kamala Harris become America's first woman president?
It's a tight race to the White House.
The knives are out and the battle lines sharply drawn.
He's becoming increasingly unstable and unhinged.
She's a threat to democracy because she shouldn't even be the candidate.
I'm Amritpal Singh.
I'm Shubhendu Ghosh.
We travel across the United States
To decode the issues at the heart of this polarized election.
Watch this space only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, a major road accident took place on Monday in Almora district of India's Uttarakhand state, where a passenger bus fell into a 200-foot deep gorge. Officials say there were at least 40 passengers on board when the vehicle went out of control, out of which at least 35 people have been killed. The seriously injured persons have been airlifted to AIIMS Rishikesh and Sushila Tiwari Hospital Haldwani for better treatment. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami has announced that his government will provide assistance of 4 lakh rupees each to the families of the deceased and 1 lakh rupees each for those who've been injured. Along with this, Dhami directed the Commissioner Kumaon Division of Uttarakhand to conduct a magisterial inquiry into the incident. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has condoled the loss of lives in the Almora bus accident. In a tweet, he said, and I quote, "My condolences to those who lost their loved ones in the road accident in Almora, Uttarakhand. I also wish for the speedy recovery of all the injured. Under the supervision of the state government, the local administration is making every possible effort for relief and rescue." Prime Minister Modi has also announced an ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees each from the Prime Minister's fund for the next of kin of each deceased in a mishap in Almora. The injured would be given 50,000 rupees each. Now, National Conference's leader and 7-time MLA Abdul Rahim Radar was unanimously elected as the new Speaker of the Jammu and Kashmir Legislative Assembly on Monday. The motion for his election was moved by Minister for Rural Development and Panchayati Raj Javed Ahmed Dar and seconded by NC MLA Arjun Singh Raju. With opposition parties opting not to contest, Pro Tem Speaker Mubarak Gul officially announced his election. Following the announcement, Leader of House Omar Abdullah and Leader of Opposition Sunil Sharma escorted Radar to the Speaker's chair. In Jammu and Kashmir's capital Srinagar, security has been tightened after at least 12 people were injured in a grenade attack on Sunday. The blast that occurred at the Sunday market near the tourist reception center in Srinagar caused panic in the area. The police have taken cognizance of the act of terror and have committed to ensuring that the perpetrators will be brought to justice. The grenade attack comes a day after a top Pakistani terrorist affiliated to Lashkar-e-Toiba was gunned down by security forces in Srinagar. At the 7th session of the International Solar Alliance Assembly in New Delhi's Bharat Mandapam on Monday, India was elected president and France the co-president for the International Solar Alliance. Together, they will lead over 120 countries in advancing solar adoption globally. With plans to mobilize $1,000 billion in solar investments by 2030, the ISA is set to transform global solar energy adoption.
Enjoys a strategic partnership with India for more than 25 years, and we consider now HISA as being part of our strategic partnership. Of course, we are very proud to keep on co-chairing the HISA, which continuously proves to be a great success, thanks to the significant political commitment of our Indian partners and the member state of HISA. We have been able to implement very concrete initiatives in order to promote and do many things in solar energy.
Let's talk about sports now and cricket. Now with 18 tests remaining in the 2023-2025 cycle, 5 teams are still in with the chance of making it to Lord's and playing for the right to be crowned World Test champions. Rohit Sharma-led Team India, which had a disappointing test series against New Zealand, slipping into second place in the race. The series loss of 3-0 made it tough for them to qualify for the WTC final, but they've still got destiny in their own hands. More in this report.
India's hopes for a third consecutive World Test Championship final took a massive hit when it got whitewashed at the hands of New Zealand in their own den. The historic 3-0 cleanup by Kiwis has made it much tougher for India to reach a third straight WTC final, but they still have the fate in their own hands. But for that, they need to win 4 tests in Australia to guarantee a place in the showpiece game next summer and the mecca of cricket, Lord's. Any other scenario will see them depending on other teams' result. Before the test series against New Zealand, India dominated the top spot of the WTC 2023-2025 points table. However, things turned around after Kiwis defeated Rohit Sharma's side in 3-match test series. As a result of the loss, India lost their top spot in the World Test Championship standings and dropped to second place, with the point percentage dropping to 58.33%. As the Border Gavaskar series approaches, Australia now holds the top spot with a point percentage of 62.5%. Following India's slip-ups against Kiwis, Australia need to win 5 of their last 7 matches and they'll go to Lord's for a chance to defend their title. New Zealand meanwhile regained the 4th spot they lost to South Africa after the Proteas whitewashed Bangladesh earlier this week. Their point percentage is 54.55%. New Zealand need victory in all 3 of their tests at home to England, but still that would not assure them of top 2 place, but it would give them a very good chance. South Africa require 4 wins from 4 to be completely sure of a berth in the final. 3 wins and a draw would give them a strong chance. For Sri Lanka, they need to win all 4 of their remaining matches in the cycle to be sure for the final spot, but 3 wins and a defeat might still be enough depending on results elsewhere. As of now, India will be eyeing to perform well against Australia on their home soil in the prestigious Border Gavaskar Trophy to confirm their place in WTC 2023-2025 final. The BGT series will be a 5-match series and India can afford to lose only 1 game in it. The Border Gavaskar series will begin on November 22nd with the first test at Perth. Over the years, India has regained an upper hand over Australia in the series. India has won its previous 4 series against Australia in a row, including 2 wins in Australia in the 2018-19 and 2020-21 seasons. This has made India a much more successful side in the series, with India winning the BGT 10 times and Australia winning it 5 times. Now, it will be interesting to see which 2 teams will win the race for WTC final spots. Sports Desk, TT India.
American record producer and music legend Quincy Jones is no more. He died at the age of 91 at his home in Los Angeles, California on Sunday. With a career spanning 65 years, he's worked with music giants like Michael Jackson, Frank Sinatra, Will Smith and many others. Diptanshu Kashyap brings us this report.
Quincy Jones stands as a towering figure in American music. A trumpeter, band leader, arranger, composer, producer and a multiple Grammy Award winner. His influence has shaped decades of music, collaborating with iconic artists like Count Basie and Frank Sinatra and redefining pop music through his groundbreaking work with Michael Jackson.
He's been nominated for 79 Grammys and won 27. He is one of, I think, 20 EGOT winners in the world. That's the holy quadrant of awards, for anybody who doesn't know, the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. And oh yeah, he also produced the biggest selling album of all time and the biggest selling single of all time. So, no big deal.
Born on 14th of March 1933 in Chicago, Jones became known for his relentless work ethic and his exceptional talent for navigating the egos of artists. He not only shaped the sounds of jazz legends like Miles Davis, but also produced timeless classics for Frank Sinatra. In 1985, he united a star-studded lineup for We Are the World, a charity single that became a global phenomenon.
It couldn't be any better than this. And in 1 year to get promoted to Commander of the Legion of Honor, and this, I'm ready to go to heaven.
Jones shared friendships with many of the 20th century's most celebrated figures. He was also a prolific movie score composer, co-producing the film The Color Purple and the beloved 1990s TV series The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which launched Will Smith's career.
Absolutely. And that's it. You get the feedback of what the other people that do the same thing you do. And sometimes it's hard because they're doing it with different genres, and people have a hard time seeing through those barriers, But for the most part, it's just saying, hey, here's what my peers think of me, and that's pretty strong.
As U2 frontman Bono aptly stated, Quincy Jones was undeniably a cool person. His remarkable legacy, marked by groundbreaking collaborations, innovative productions, and countless accolades, will forever resonate in the world of music. Diptanshu Kashyap's report for DD India.
But India's Mozart from Madras, A.R. Rahman, has also paid his tributes to Quincy Jones. On social media platform Instagram, he shared pictures of him with Jones, captioning, "Another shining star from Earth has dissolved into the infinite." Rahman was one of the first to honor the iconic artist after the announcement of his passing. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.